Grief is not weakness. It is love searching for a place to go. Welcome to Grief, Let's Talk About It with Tony Lynch. Real stories, real healing, real conversations.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting episode of the Grease Let's Talk About It podcast. You guys know who it is. This is your boy, Tony Lynch. I am the host of this podcast, and yes, we are your number one podcast for bringing you stories around death, down, and grief, all the messiness that comes in between with some amazing people doing out here doing some amazing things, changing people's lives one heartbeat at a time. And if it's your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to their YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And most importantly, since this is a live stream, be sure to put your questions or comments in the comment section. We'll be sure to answer them as we go. And one other thing, this is for educational purposes only. Now, without further ado, I have another amazing guest for you guys, man. And she has a powerful story. Man, get your pens and paper, get your pen and paper ready, get those questions ready, ask whatever you need, man. And please help me welcome my next guest to the show, Miss Tamera Schimidt. Tamera, how you doing?
I am great, Tony. Thanks for having me.
Of course, and welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. So before we get started, do me a favor, introduce yourself to the audience. So tell people who you are, where you're from, and about the work that you do.
All righty. My name is Tamera Schmidt, and I am a transformational speaker, a leadership strategist, an ordained minister, and the founder of Enlightened Coach. But more than anything else, I am also a widow. And I have gone through a great deal. And what I have discovered time and time again is that we don't have language for what's happening to us through grief, through the experience. And it could be the loss of a job, certainly a loss of a family member, a divorce. Grief shows up in a million and two ways in our lives. And all too often, we don't have the vocabulary to do it. So I have a manuscript in motion, and it's called The During, which is my word for what happens to us while we're being changed from the inside out.
See, and I love that, and I love the fact that you brought up that grief really doesn't have a language, at least one that we have not officially put out yet, right? And you wrote a bit about that, and I love that you did that because grief does have its own language. When you experience any sort of loss, right, or if you're going through any cycle of grief, your language, the way that you perceive the world changes,
Oh,
right?
absolutely.
Everything changes the way that, even if you lost a car, right, it's really hard for you, at least for me, the first time I had one of my vehicles repossessed, it was hard for me to look at a vehicle, buy it, and say, this is mine unless I had a title and everything else in my hand. I went, this is just on loan.
Hmm.
As long as I'm paying for this thing don't belong to me. It belongs to those people over there. And I never did understand after that why people took it so personally when if their vehicles got repossessed. Because for one, sometimes mistakes happen, right? Sometimes the companies may get it wrong, and sometimes they won't. My motto was, if you come and get it, you keep it. It's yours now. Don't I don't look, because it was already yours. Who am I to take stake claim on that, right?
Right,
I am pretty much, it's on loan to me until I get done paying for it. Then it's officially mine. Um,
right.
Losing a loved one, no matter who that loved one is, you'll never look at another person and say, you know, man, I understand what you're going through, because you honestly don't, because no one understood what you was going through, right? Now,
Right.
how important is it? And I could pretty much guess the answer, but I want to know from your perspective, how important is it for people to develop their language of grief, depending on the loss that they've endured?
I think it's really critical because, first off, I'm also a neuroscientist. So I know brains hate avoid. So we go
Mm, yeah.
and invent language, or we get into our own head about it. And so to be able to define, and I disagree with the stages of grief and all that sort of thing. I
Oh
mean,
yeah. Oh yeah.
they're never done. I mean, period, end of conversation. We're all being changed, from the inside out, whatever we're facing. And
Yes,
so
we
I
are.
think it's critical to have some words, some vocabularies, and frankly, some boundaries. Because I know I sat there, it was about a year and a half in, and one of my dearest friends looked across the room at me and said, "You need to go see a therapist. You've had enough time and you need to be over this." And
Mm.
I just,
Ooh.
right? And I remember just looking at her going, "How could you have possibly walked this journey with me, known me for 30 plus
Mm.
years, and loving me the way you do?" Because I always assume people want to have positive intent. They're responding to us from a state of love, but it sure
Hmm.
doesn't land that way at a time like that. But
This is
I
very
was
true.
just shocked. And so, this invention of the word the during, it also has another attribute to it. What my research, my business practice says over and over again, we have so many people around us. They're high performing, that are amazing, that keep showing up, even though my husband's dying of a terminal brain cancer.
Hmm.
I still have bills to pay. I still have clients. I kept showing up, and I am not the anomaly, Tony. I can think of hundreds of people that keep showing up every day, and we don't know what's going on underneath. And so I think the during helps us identify a practice of suspending judgment and being willing to create a safe space where we look at this high performing individual and
Hmm.
ask or invite them to have a more honest, authentic conversation.
That's very true. And you said a few things right there. And I want to go back a little bit because I want to talk about your friend. Um, and this is just a theory, something that I came up with to help me understand how people on the outside looking in may perceive us, right?
Mhm.
And I came up with a few things. Sometimes when people say those things, I don't think they're doing it out of malice, right? I don't think, but I think that what they're doing is that they're looking at a person, like you said, your friend have known you over 30 years. So depending on the relationship that you've had, although they've loved you, would they put you up on a pedestal, right? Were you the strong individual in their life? If that is so, right, and you're the one that they can come and talk to, and please, what I'm saying, let me know what you think about this. If you're the one that they constantly come to talk to when they're having problems, that means that they're looking at you as the strongest person in their world. So
Mhm.
when you're going through something very traumatic as a loss and things like that, all they know is the person before that loss. They
Mhm.
don't know the person who's hurting and things like that. And I speak from that from personal experience as well, right? And so when they're looking at that, since they don't know how to approach you in those difficult moments, their goal is to get you back to the strong person. That's why it may come off a little aggressive, saying, you should be over this. Let's get you into a therapist. Because, for one, if I'm looking at you as my superhero, I don't know how to cure you if you're hurting, right? I don't know what this kryptonite is that you're going through that's bringing you down so much. So I only know to encourage you to go get this help. I'm still going to walk with you, but I need you back to being a strong person again because at some point I'm going to want to talk to you about your loss, right? Because
Right.
how it's affecting me, right? It's no longer
Right.
about you. And now
But
we've been on ends.
yeah,
Please.
well, and to your point, I think in this particular case, I'm thinking about it as you talk about it. This person had rolled up to the bar. They took my husband for treatment. They understood everything that was going on. And so I
Mhm.
don't know that they thought of me as the strong one. I think that there is a stage that you're changing because of what's happened to you.
Right
And
there.
they are
Yes. Yeah.
desperately in need of you to be what you were because they don't know what to do with who you're
Yes.
becoming.
Yes. And they don't understand unless okay, so we talk about the language, right? You and I have spoken about this. The language that we speak is totally different from the average person.
Oh, yeah.
And we're practitioners. We help people walk through this, right? And so as we begin to develop that language, is this is why they say go find your tribe, right? So and so there's different things that we have to take into consideration as well. What tribe are you looking for, right? So had I not became a practitioner, I'd have been looking into support groups, people who speak the language of child loss, parental loss, sibling loss, friend loss, loss by homicide, all of these different things. I would have had to go through all of these different support groups,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Because not one support group is going to give me what I need compared to all of the losses that I have endured, right? And so yes, let me put this up here real quick. I love this right here. Thank you, Trish. Desperately need to be who you are. That really resonates. Tribe is so important. Yes, it is. It's very very important. And thank you guys for tuning in as well. But yeah, tribe is very very important. And as someone who's been on the receiving end of not knowing where I belong,
Oh,
I didn't
yeah.
know which tribe I belonged to because now here's what a difficult part is. Although we need these support groups are a necessity, we have to now look at into these support groups and go, is this a type of support group that's going to give me what I need? Because some of them can be conversational, some of them are educational. So it's really important to figure out what like stumble into what you need, right? You
Yeah.
may not know right off the back, but stumble into it. You know what I'm saying? And let your grief guide you, right?
Well,
Um,
but let me chime in on that, Tony.
yes,
So
yes.
I remember, I mean, and it does not escape me. The irony is, I'm trained as a neuroscientist, and I lose my husband to brain cancer. I mean,
Right.
and it's all about the brain. I mean, I have never missed that irony. And in fact, when he was in treatment, the doctors were not prepared to have me go, well, wait a minute. You took the tumor from this part of his brain, and that makes this function, and this is what I'm seeing. And I'm sure most of the oncologists now are looking at each other going, oh, mother of God, we've got to respond that way to her. But, so after he passed, I kept looking for, as you said it, the right group, the right tribe.
Hmm.
And I went to a couple, and I remember calling the gal that ran hospice and was the grief counselor after I had attended like three or four. And I said, I don't think I should be there. And she said, she starts laughing because she knew me personally. And, isn't it
Hmm.
marvelous when somebody can laugh when you're talking about such a deep and painful topic, right?
Hmm.
And she said, well, okay, I'm curious. Why don't you think you should be there? And I said, well, there's a woman in one of the groups that is still trying to figure out how to balance her checkbook because her spouse is gone. And it's been 2.5 years. And all I want to say is, baby's not coming back. Get over it. Move on. Let's go. But I
Hmm.
need to treat the group dynamic as sacred, and the person leading it is doing a brilliant job. And it
Exactly.
isn't my place to, program people will use the term crosstalk. I'm not to crosstalk. I'm not there to fix her. And it's okay for me to walk out going, okay, not my tribe, not my place to
Not your
be.
tribe, right?
Right?
Yeah.
The additional irony, and I have a suspicion some of them are online. Um, I didn't really find my tribe, partly out of survival. I'm a mother with young
Right.
kids,
Right.
and I have to go back to work. And if I delve into this too much too often, I'm going to be a very small fetal position puddle underneath a desk somewhere, and it doesn't work, right? And
Yeah.
so you
Well,
put you put on this front, right? And you
yeah.
begin to
Okay.
judge who is safe enough to go deep enough with and who isn't.
Hmm.
You quickly learn that, at least I have.
You do. You
And
do.
the
Yeah.
irony is that I didn't really find my tribe until almost 10 years after. I mean, it'll be 10 years in August since I lost him. And that
Mm.
tribe was never built for grief. It was built for us to look inward and feel safe enough to have authentic conversations and come out the other side with all the pieces integrated. And I think death, dying, whatever this grief exercise is for people, you start splintering some. You start figuring out who's safe, who isn't, who can't. I have people in my life that want to argue with me about my spiritual background. And I'm kind of thinking every now and again, last I checked, I'm a 30 years in world religions minister. But
Mhm.
I think the most important thing in my journey is going back to something you and I talked about, is to see them for who they are, meet them for where they are, assume
Mhm.
positive intent. Now, there are some people you're going to put on the, no contact list eventually, but they just don't know how,
Understood.
they don't know how to deal with us. And they just aren't, as you said, our people.
Well, and that's, I think, okay, so there's a couple of things that you said that I want to touch base on. Uh, so the one thing, what I'm saying, finding your tribe and everything, I totally agree with that. Sometimes you may not know your tribe is, right? You may not know what your tribe is. I know for me, and I'm only speaking from my own personal experience when I say this, throughout all my losses, because I had experienced homicides, suicides, addiction losses, what I'm saying, parents, grandparents, child, younger brother, and the list goes on and on and on. I tell people, the only loss I've never experienced was loss of a spouse. So I have no expertise when it comes down to that. Can I hold space with someone who's done it? Yes, but I'm limited on the knowledge that I can give you because I don't speak that language.
Right?
I don't speak that. So I know, I understand this. So when somebody comes to me or a man comes to me, because I work with a lot of men, when they come to me and go, man, I'm really grieving the loss of my partner and things like that. I know that I'm limited. So with that being said, I know that I know other people who have experts who are more experienced in this lane than I am. I stick in my lane. I know that, hey, I will give you the worst advice ever when it comes down to that. And I don't want to do that because, for one, in the state that you're in, you're going to take it personally. And I don't mean it personally. And I definitely don't want to disrespect you. Right.
Right.
So, taking that into consideration, I know how to step back and go, oh, let me introduce you to my friend Mike. Let me introduce you to my friend Kyle or anything like that. People who have experienced these things. Right. Now, when it comes down to, really finding a tribe, as I begin to become more, develop myself into this grief game or this grief field, I realized that not only was I bilingual, right? You know what I'm saying? But but I realized that I needed to be around other people that spoke this language because I moved past the losses into a field that I fell in love with.
Right.
And that's how the Global Grief Network came about. And it's something inside of me said, if you build it, they will come. And it all started from me starting a conference back in 2021. And all of these individuals, which you've seen the group so far, right? You've seen all the people that's in there. We all speak the same language, right? We can get together, we talk, we collaborate, we network. But the beautiful part about it is that the language that we speak, we're bilingual in this thing. It may not be a foreign language. Well, maybe sometimes if depending on what
Oh,
you who you
it
are,
is.
it could be a foreign language and stuff like that, right? But we understand it because we're coming not only from a place of understanding and diving deeper into that loss, but actually understanding it to the point of to where it's second nature for us to pick up on it, right? Oh, let me sit in this space with you. I know how to hold space with you in this area.
That those are the words, right? I mean,
Hmm.
and I want to go back to something when you and I first met. I mean, and I also need to say, when people kept saying you really understand grief, you should work on that. You should bring it into your work. You should do more. Oh my God, the rebellion in me is so hell to the no.
Yes.
Are you kidding me?
Exactly.
You know, and I didn't want to do it. And as you said, we hold the space and we do it quite naturally.
Uh-huh.
But we also aren't bilingual in all the languages of grief, whatever it is.
Exactly. And
And
that's what I mean.
I think back to when you and I first spoke. I have a son who will be 24, and obviously, and you and I briefly talked about it. First off, I want to say out loud to anybody that's experiencing it, boys experience grief very differently than girls. And
Yes.
at least in my household, it was being angry and acting out and turning to marijuana to numb the pain or, you know, whatever it was. In the meantime, his sister is crying and everything else. And I mean, there was a point in time where my folks who were doing everything they could to love on us as a family and
Hmm.
worried all the time. But a typical conversation would be, tell Katie we love her, tell William how disappointed we are in him, right? And at this point now, I have to put a boundary between his grandparents and him to protect him, even though I'm being tortured all to death with his acting out. And my heart is breaking over and over again. And you're speaking about, you know, bilingual has a lot of different dialects, right?
Right, right. And that's why I
And
said it that way.
absolutely.
Yeah,
And
that's
my
exactly why I said it that way, because it's universal, right? That language is bilingual, right? You know what I'm saying? There's so many different ways because it would be really hard for me to talk to someone who has not experienced that I have not experienced that loss with because I honestly don't know how to approach it. I have when it comes down to certain things, I know where my limitation is, but I am such a student of this thing that I would love to sit down with other people who have experienced it that's in the field and be able to pick their brain. That's why I love having conversations and things like that, right?
well,
Because
and that's what
uh,
exactly what you did the first time we spoke, because I introduced like navigating as a woman, a
mhm.
boy in grief, and you immediately clicked in about men and grieving, and you became my teacher in that very conversation. And that's, you know, what you've organized here. Grief, let's talk about it. You know, the people you bring in, the people you encounter. You know, I stumbled into your dialect right then and there, and what a gift I got. So I think the overarching thing that we're touching on is none of us is an expert. None
Oh
of us
no.
is the
Oof,
right
no.
person, but
Yeah.
we will travel with you on the journey and get you connected to the people that are the right people for you,
Hmm.
which is why I think the Global Grief Network is such a profound thing. And I'm also
Thank you.
highly amused that the podcast I most wanted to be on, the person I most wanted to work with after my oh hell to the no about grief conversation is you. Like, what? Why? But it all makes sense because I think anything we run from will come back until we address it head on.
It does. And as thank you, Trish. Thank you for that. Yeah, your son. I'm glad he has you because for one, um, and I totally agree, right? You know what I'm saying? When it comes down to young boys, of course our language is different because we raised differently, right? You know what I'm saying? On one end, we teach our young women to embrace the emotional aspect of the of these things, where we teach young men to be strong and be protectors, right?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I think I was telling you this a long time ago, not a long time ago when we talked, but something that reflected on me. Um, I was preparing for a webinar or a workshop. I was preparing for a workshop, and I used to be a big comic book buff. Love comic books. Didn't matter what it was. I loved it, right? You name it, Marvel, DC, I loved it all. Okay.
DC,
Even the ones
baby.
out
Right?
there.
Marvel, I'll go with you.
Yeah, here's someone. See, and again, this is someone that speaks the same language as you, Mr. Hi, I lost my husband from brain cancer 13 years ago. I have found grief as love, and it is impossible for everyone to serve as a placeholder for that. Our sharing reaches who it is intended to. Kate, you're absolutely right. And again, that's not a language that I speak. And the person that would be able to speak to that would be Tamara. I again, you know what I'm saying? That's that language. That's what I mean. Like, just so happened we're talking about it, and somebody comes in and says, "This is what I do." Automatically, I can see the look on your face, like, "Girl, I can relate to what you're going through. I may not totally understand what you're going through, but I can relate to what you're going through," which makes you a lot better equipped to be able to walk and hold space with these individuals than me. You know what I'm
Well,
saying?
and
So
Tony, there's another area I want to illuminate that you and I've talked about, which
mhm.
is there's grief in the moment, and then there is the aftermath. We have
Yes, yes. Oh
fundamentally
my God.
changed in who we are. And so for Kate to come in just now and say, I lost him 13 years ago, and she's right. I mean, the story continues to change. What you do next is going to change, but who you are as a human being walking this earth becomes something that you exude, like you have your new dialect, your new language, and
Yes.
it's almost like we have beacons on the top of our heads that
Oh
are
yeah.
looking for somebody who speaks that same language. Now, we're not
Yes.
enjoying the pain of witnessing it ever, but it's also such a horribly lonely practice as
It
you're
can
going
be.
through it. It
It
can
can be depending on the individual. So this is where I say I definitely understand that, right? But in the same sense, now I'm only speaking from my perspective because this is what worked for me because I really had no choice. People left me.
be. Yep.
I was not I didn't have a choice about isolation. I
Right.
was I was pushed right into it, and I was told, sit here. No
Yep.
one's coming to save you. So back
Right.
to my analogy about how young men grieve and things like that. The biggest lesson that I learned was through a comic book series. And I know most of everybody that's up here, and this may shock you. If you see it, you're going to look at it. You're going to go, "Wow, they was teaching lessons back then, right?" So it was a crossover. It was Fantastic Four. It was Thor. It was the Hulk. So namely, I got three major dudes in there that are just powerful, right? Known for clobbering time, right? You know what I'm saying? Hulk smash. We're gonna do it all, okay? And the crossover was Johnny Storm had just he had just passed away very
Yeah.
tragically through a fight, right? He had just passed away. And the thing that was his dude, that was his boy, right? That was his road dog. Well, it got word to Thor and Hulk that Thing is going through it, right? And Thing don't know how to deal with this, but the language, this is how crazy this is. The language that was spoken was unspoken, but what was needed was necessary because they understood what was needed, right? So
Yeah.
Thor brings the Hulk to him and things like that. No words are being spoken, and the thing just starts whamming on the Hulk and Thor, just busting them all up, bam, 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 because they can take it. Now I'm saying this, and if you can catch on to what I'm saying, it'll make
Yep.
it'll make a lot of sense because we could take it, right? Because men, we speak that when we express ourselves is totally different.
Right.
But afterwards, nothing else was being said. It was just them sitting there holding each other, not saying a damn thing. And the
And it
tears was
said
coming.
everything. It said
And it
everything
said
in that moment.
everything in that moment because of the simple fact of as young men, is if you're teaching your young boy to be tough and not express themselves, you have to understand our go-to language is anger. It's
Ah,
violence because we're conditioned to be strong. And the only way that I can show you that I'm strong is to show you that this is not breaking me, but deep down inside, I fell apart. And I need someone to understand. So if you could take these punches and things like that, I love you for that because for one, you understood what I needed,
mhm,
right?
mhm.
And so don't look down on your young men if they're out here acting out like that. It's what you've taught them. It's
Absolutely. And
it's what you've taught them.
we whitewash all of it, and I can remember in his particular circumstance. I mean, let's be factual about this.
It's,
I
yeah.
I buried my husband a week before my son started 8th grade and my daughter started her senior year of high school. And, and while on the outside looking in, this family lost a member, right? That's the
Yeah.
big picture, right? And yet, there were three
Beautiful. I
entirely
love the
different
comments.
experiences. I know.
Yeah.
There's three entirely different experiences
There
going
you
on.
go. Yeah.
And I just saw Zia mentioned, and I saw Elena. I happen to know both of them, so I could catch what went by really fast. They're extraordinary, but both of them are mothers of sons, right?
Mhm.
And so I can think of 6 sons between those two women, and then I have one. And so we have 7 sons in this discussion, and every one of them is going to go through their own process. They're
Mhm.
going to go through their own stages of grief. Again, I don't like stages in general,
No,
but I think
well,
the most valuable thing that we can talk about is holding the space as a woman for somebody to
mm.
do it differently than what we know how to do.
Yes. And if I could add to that, because I get a lot of women that come to me and they want me to coach them through their grief and things like that. And for me, it's a matter of respect, right?
Yeah.
It's a matter of respect because for one, I have made that mistake before and I thought I was doing the right thing. And what ended up happening is that these women were trauma bonding with me,
Oh,
right?
yes,
And
yes,
so, although I have no intentions of taking it past what we're doing right here, it's a very tricky and a very thin line because you're spending time with this individual. When you're going through the grieving process, you want somebody to spend time with you.
yeah,
You want somebody to tell you everything is going to be okay. You want somebody to be your rock, your strong arm, and things like that. And what I found, like I said, what I found was is that instead of meeting with them once a week, I started catching on. Hey, would you mind meeting with me today? So not only it went from once a week to twice a week, then it went from 3 times a week, then 4 times a week, and I realized that they were really looking at it as if I have some emotional attachment to this, right? No, it's not emotional. My job as a grief coach is to be there with you, to walk through the mud with you, and that can be misconstrued. And I never want to put nobody in a situation to where I have to go and say, no, I can't do this, right?
right,
For
right.
for my own well-being and for your emotional well-being, I need to have those boundaries. So that's why I pretty much stuck with it and
And
and and things like that.
but
So
what a blessing that you could focus on that and that you've created this environment where more of us can come in and to do this. And Kate keeps touching on love, and she is spot on.
yes.
And I think it's important to start looking inward. How do we express love during this time, after this time? What are our boundaries around it? And the irony, I told you, I rebelled against anything that was grief titled. I was running out the door, down the street, and hoping a rock fell on top of you when you brought it up. And so one of the friends,
Understood.
I know, it's just like, no, I'm a transformational, leadership coach, and I want to talk about transforming, and I want to talk about what's different, and I want to talk about how you move through, and I want to talk about how you heal. And you know what? There's parts of us that never do. But I think the most incredible thing, vocabulary, right? We're talking about vocabulary and when we get attached to it. And so one of our friends,
That's what I'm talking about right there. That's
right, right, one of us,
that's what I'm
that
talking about.
particular friend that just said she won't let me run,
Oh
she
yeah.
introduced a new vocabulary choice that really I think we could all use as our banner. shall we say. And she said, Tam, I see you as a soul doula. You are shepherding the rebirth of a human being when you're walking beside them. Isn't that an amazing way to reframe the
Oh yeah.
vocabulary?
I think it's a great way to add to the vocabulary, right?
There you go.
Because
Okay.
in this grief field that we're in, and I'm right there with you. I'm right there with you. I ran. I did not think I would grief. What? No, because
Not gonna
before
happen.
everything, yeah, it happens, right?
Right.
Because before all of this happened, I was bodybuilding. I'm 6'4", I love bodybuilding, right? Have been doing it for quite some time. I love everything about it. Um, I'm a martial artist, so I teach self-defense. I teach boxing. I teach kung fu. I teach Brazilian jiu-jitsu. This is my thing. I even have my own personal training company, right? So imagine my life being turned around and realizing that this thing that I love so much was not the thing that I was called to do.
Oh yeah. I
And
mean,
I had to let that go, right? Well, I really didn't have a choice. I didn't really have a choice because my decisions led me to losing everything. Now that I look at it, I was like, oh, it it was pretty much lining me up to push me right into what I was doing. So when I began to explore this thing called grief, I knew nothing about it, but I knew I was in love with it, right? I was like, what? What is this thing, right? And I was just crazy enough to say, I want to see where this thing goes. And
right.
slowly but surely, my passion for bodybuilding became very minuscule. My love for teaching martial arts was still there, but I learned to, hey, I'm gonna do this once a week, but I'm gonna do this 24 hours a day,
Right. Right.
right? You know what I'm saying? So I began to embrace it, and I ran from it. I was like, no, grief. What? No, what is? I'm not about to do that. And like you, I was running. I was like, oh no, you're not getting me. Oh no, and I ran right into it, like that brick wall. I was like, you
Well,
better get out of my way, son, because you don't know me like that. You know what
right.
I'm
Well,
saying?
and what I discovered, and I'm quite cranky sometimes about it, is that, it's a cliche, you can run, but you can't hide, right? And,
Yes.
but for me, I have had a wildly successful company for years. The irony is, I launched the company when my husband was sick because
Hmm.
I had to figure out how to make money and take care of him. I mean, I don't recommend that strategy. Okay. But somehow or another, I managed through COVID and all those other infractions in the world that should have said, your company's going to fail or it's going to shut down.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
yet, for the last year, I had no more running to do. Clients who love me, who respect me, they don't have the budget. They've lost their jobs. Companies have organizational changes, and the new CFO says there will be no transformational coaching for the revenue organization,
Mm.
etc. So, in many ways, I couldn't hide anymore. I had to bring the parts of me back online to move forward again.
Man,
And
I love
and
that.
and it was wild because I kept doing the same thing. Okay, well, I'm going to introduce cohorts and I'm going to put four of you in a group and I'm going to coach you to generate revenue. I know I'm damn good. I don't apologize for what I know I'm amazing at.
Exactly.
And I have testimonials up, down, and sideways. One of my greatest mounts of pride is when a client calls, texts, or sends, an SOS up and says, Tam, I was just up on stage with the CEO and I'm the best in the company now. And that's because of you. I mean, I love watching people fly.
Oh, you and me
And,
both. Yeah. I love
and,
that.
my wings were clipped. At least I thought they were. Because the other thing that's happened is when I began to put the during together as my vocabulary, when I addressed the fact that my truth is I know a great deal about grief. And and there was no more running, and there were times where I was invited to explore it with people that they found it was life changing, and that wasn't
Hmm.
my way of doing things. So I went back to some current clients and said, "Oh, I'm going to do this, and here's some vocab." And they're like, "Isn't that what we do when we work together all the time?" And so this entire time I thought I was running away, and I was forced basically to look at how I would generate revenue differently instead of going back and doing the same old thing. And the irony of all of it was when I went back to clients that were still working with me, it was kind of like, I'm sorry, I'll show my age. I could have had a V8. It was so obvious
Oh, I love that.
that,
Ooh.
that we were doing it all along. It just wasn't the vocabulary that we chose.
Yes, and if I could add to that as well, because I can definitely relate to what you just said there. And I believe that this thing that we do in this grief field, right? And big shout out to my doulas out there, to all the practitioners out there, man. I've been on this path of trying to help us get on the map and pave a way to where we could reach more people. I began to once I got out of my own way, right? Got out of my own way because I'm a fighter. You're not going to beat me. You're not going to beat me. I will fight you till I can't fight anymore. Now I say that to say this, right? Because it took me hitting my version of rock bottom, sitting out in the middle of a desert, about ready to put a bullet in my head. And I said, that's where I was like Humpty Dumpty. I broke open. And every part of me that did not belong fell out. And I was so afraid to let it go that I was scrambling, trying to put the yoke back in. And it just kept falling through my fingers.
Right?
It just kept oozing through my fingers, right? And then eventually that shell came back together, and I'm looking at the ground going, I need this. I need this in order to survive what I'm going through. And
Yeah.
something said, you don't need that because you're not going to survive, you're going to live. And if you can understand the concept of that, then you know what I'm saying, it'll make a little bit more sense. You're not surviving this, you're going to live because for one, I'm going to show you something different. And
Yes.
that was that voice that was inside of my head. And I said, in my most vulnerable moments, I went, I surrendered to this.
Yes. Yes.
I surrendered because I don't know what else to do. Right? I've already fought the good fight and I almost lost. I almost became a statistic,
Yeah.
and I was going, oh, let me just go over here because there's nothing else for me to lose. So let me explore this right here.
Hmm.
And I began to really see that little spark in there.
Yeah.
And I just stayed on the path of going towards it. And the more I grew towards it, I realized that it wasn't getting bigger. I was just getting closer to it. So that brought that light, like you said, we're beacons.
Yep.
And the more I stepped into it, the brighter the more sense it made to me. Right. And I went, I can actually have a different relationship with my loss inside of my grief. And so my gift became more prominent. It became more of let me let me explore what this thing can really do.
Yes.
And all of those things that I thought that I was giving up just transferred into something different, right? And which allowed me to do a lot of other things, and a lot of things I really didn't know that was going to come about, like writing books and uh, um, starting conferences and starting a podcast and a magazine and creating an app all of these different things. And people go, man, I was like, because I don't know. I don't know where it comes from. I just know that when it comes, this is what I'm supposed to do. I never limit myself within my gift.
Right. Right.
I don't, your gift has no limitations. You
Well,
are your own limitations.
so to your point, oh my gosh, Tony, you and I never have enough time to talk.
I know.
Ever.
You never have.
The thing is that for us, those
Thank you, Zia.
that ended up being beacons. We
Yes.
never know where it's going to land. We just never know. Let me give you an example that I wrote about in my book. I took a job. I live in Bend, Oregon now. I moved out of California a couple years after he passed, partly because I didn't want anybody to tell me what my story is. I
Yeah.
wanted someplace fresh. And I'll tell you, it was just kind of a jumping off of the cliff time because I didn't have a job here. I didn't have people. It just was what I wanted to do.
Hmm.
And I do have a quote that I use quite often in my work with myself and anybody else who has to encounter me. Trauma are changes you don't choose. Healing are the changes you do. And it
Yes.
never ever occurred to me that moving would begin my healing. So let's skip forward. In this town, there's a marvelous amphitheater that hires people all summer. And this is my fourth year working with them. Okay. And I've been on the security team. When do you put a 63? I'll be 65 this summer. When do you put a 62-year-old woman on security? Well, they did. And it was the time of my life. And then something else changed. And I now drive the employee shuttle. So I have, however many employees coming and going. I get to know them. They get to know me. And it's a 12-seater. So picture somebody all the way in the back. Now, May
Yeah.
happens to be
Yeah.
Brain Cancer Awareness Month, and I'm on Facebook. Thank God I am. Otherwise, you and I would never have met.
I
And
know.
I post in May, about brain cancer because to
Mm.
honor my husband, because I'm an educator to my core, right? And that's what I think all of us in this work are. We're
I
we're
think we're
doing
both. I
we're
think we're
doing
both. We're
we're
educators
educators.
as well as we'll always be students.
Yes,
And this is what I love about this field, and I'm glad that I got into it when I did, because I've had the chance to see it develop. When I
right.
first, and I don't know if it was the same for you, but when I first started in this field, I sucked. Right? I'm not even going to joke about it. When I decided that I was going to become a men's grief coach, all I had was an idea and a vision. I had a path that I knew that I was going to follow. I didn't realize how much more I needed to learn. Although I still had some of the language, it was like, you know what I'm saying? I got into it. I got on social media because I never even did social media before this happened. Right. And it was like, oh, I'm gonna go on social media. I got this. I remember telling my buddy in his garage, I was like, man, I'm gonna start this nonprofit. He was like, really, Tony, what you gonna do? I said, I want to work with men like myself, man. I want to be able to be around other men. One, because I wanted to learn, right? Because I didn't know how to navigate the loss of my son. I didn't know how to navigate the loss of my younger brother or my parents or anything like that. So I thought me being slick. This is the whole thing. I thought I was being slick. If I start this, I can surround myself with other people who have been doing it a lot longer than me, and I can learn. Right? You know
Yep.
what I'm saying? And I was just going to be the guy in the back there. I'm facilitating the group and everything, but I'm here because I don't know what I'm doing.
Yep.
I don't know what to do. And it
Right.
took, as a man, I had to swallow my pride and say, I don't know what I'm going to do because anything outside of this, the next time I try to end my life, I am going to be successful because I've already planned this out. That's the crazy. I knew I was going to be successful, right?
I
I, I planned out my own suicide for 3 months and no one knew. And
right.
I did it in front of everybody, and no one really paid attention to me. Again, it goes back to people looked at me as if I was the strong one, so I was able to pretend that I was strong. I can pretend like I'm strong without you having to worry about what's really going on with me, right? Because I didn't want to be a burden to you, and no one asked me if I was ever okay. They
No, no,
allowed me to keep doing it, right?
absolutely. And Tony, in the book, I have coined a term. Um, Competence becomes camouflage, which is exactly what you just
Uh
described.
huh. Hmm.
The more competent we are, or we're doing well, or we're getting over it, or we're going through it, or whatever, and nobody asks. Nobody asks because
No
they
one
just
ever asks.
know. And we
Yeah.
trip all over ourselves with that competence. And so talking about grief, this network, the conference, who knows who's going to stumble into what they most needed to hear.
Uh-huh.
You
Here's
know,
something. We got a question up here. Now, this is a really good question. How do you ask? Really ask. I'm gonna let you answer this one first because I love this question right here. As simple as it is, this is a very deep question to ask, right?
yep.
Because and thank you for that, Zia. Because I'm gonna let you answer first, and I'll piggyback off of what you say.
Um, I think instead of asking, you don't ask a traditional question.
No.
I think the question becomes, in this moment, what would you most need? And I'll go a further step. And sometimes
I love that.
people have no idea what they need.
Yeah,
And
very true.
that's where we say, I wonder if. I can imagine you might. Sometimes it's just a hug, but we live in a virtual world and there isn't necessarily, how do we create space that somebody feels hugged? There's somebody in my tribe who I've known for a number of years who I would walk over hot coals for.
Hmm.
Now, I need to tell you, we've only been in the same room one time in all these years that I've known that person. And this person ended up arriving at almost a place of clinical depression.
Mm.
And being an introvert, they just disappeared. They just pulled up, hermit crabs had more availability than where she went at this point in time.
Ooh, I love
And,
it. I
and
love it.
so I asked the question one time that you and I just explored, what do you need? And there was nothing back. So maybe I turned to what I think somebody needs at that
There
time.
you go.
Maybe.
Yes, there you go.
And I just kept sending her stuff. I would send her a funny meme. I would send her a Facebook instant message about, get your fluff back on. I would leave her voicemail messages. I would text her, not knowing where it was going to land. But to me, what was most important is that she could maybe, remember, we have to surrender the outcomes here, but just maybe she would know there was somebody out here who loved her so much that I was staying while she went on this journey and keeping that door just wedged open enough that when she
Amen.
was ready, she knew I hadn't closed it for good.
I love that. I would love to piggyback off of that as well because I think this is going to add to that coming from a male's perspective.
Yeah.
Your actions are how you ask. Your actions are how you ask. And what I mean by that is I don't have to ask you if you're okay. I'm going to go, hey, I'm bringing by some food.
Yes, yes,
That speaks volumes.
right.
Hey, hey man, I'm going to the fishing hole, man. I'm gonna come by. See, I'm not forcing myself into you, but I know if these are things that you like and things like that, hey man, I'm about to go to the fishing hole, man. I'm gonna come by and get you. Be ready in about 30 minutes. Don't worry about it. Just bring your fishing pole, man. I already got food and things like that. I'm taking everything off of your shoulders and pretty much letting you choose, right? And what I found was is that those things spoke volumes. And it wasn't that I was doing anything special. I'm still doing the same things in daily life, but with the intentions of being present.
Yes,
I'm
yes.
being present with you in that moment. You want to know how to ask, be present. Your words don't have to say anything because as someone who may not understand, your words can dictate how a conversation goes. And it depending on what stage that individual is in, they can take it very personal,
Oh,
right?
yeah.
Think about think of, Put yourself in this situation. How would you feel
Right.
in that moment when you were that, going through those pillars? And I'm like, yeah, I don't like to define the 5 stages of grief as just 5 stages, because people really have to understand the dynamic of what those was built for, right?
Right.
And
And
so, you know what I'm
he
saying?
regrets writing them.
Right. And the people who's writing them. So there's a difference. Like for me, I've explored different stages of grief, and I realized that the 5 pillars of grief, that's all they are. They were written for people who were going through mental illness.
Right. Right.
They wasn't they wasn't designed for people who was experiencing loss. They was designed for people who was going um through terminal illness. And so that's what that was based upon. You can build upon it, but it's not the end all to everything. I've gotten up to 47 stages of grief because I'm still constantly learning about those different stages: sorrow, depression, all of those different things are stages of grief.
And
Okay.
there is no such thing as acceptance other than, for me, for many of us, it's simply what is true now. That doesn't have to be acceptance. It's just
Right.
what is in that moment.
I love that you said that, because those moments change, right?
Right.
Every see, grief is a hopscotch. It's a hopscotch, right? It's, remember as a kid you had the little rocks and y'all had the little hopscotch stones on the side. Come on now, I'm telling my age now. You already know this, right? We was over there. Oh shoot, I got the four over here, so you got a hopscotch on through it, right? You know what I'm saying? So grief is the same way. You're pretty much throwing a rock on a number and you're hopscotching around those things,
Yes.
right? And what's happening is that every number that you jump on is probably a timeline in your life. So this is why I say grief is a hopscotch, because just because you're going through this moment right here, right? You have to look at everything else that's compiled behind that. This is what people get misunderstood at, because they go, "Oh my God, this person is acting," because that's what they at in that moment. You don't know what's triggering these things.
Oh, yeah.
Being
No way.
present with the person allows them to revert back to a childhood stage, to where maybe their first traumatic incident happened,
Mhm.
and they will bounce around. I say, let them do what they need to do so I can be more effective in
Absolutely.
your presence, right? Because I'm not going to say anything. Who am I to tell you what to do? I need to pay attention.
Yeah.
I need to not say anything, because man, a person who don't know how to speak that language, two people going through something emotional can dictate, especially if your intentions are to be with someone and you already starting talking about what you're going through, you can change the whole dynamic of how that conversation goes. And this is what gives people a bad name about practitioners and things like that. And my goal is to say, hey, allow these people to do what they need to do, just like how you need. Don't put expectations on them, because, and this is where I've had to go in and talk to certain practitioners and go, stop putting expectations on people, because you're expecting them to be on the same page as you are, but it took you a while to get there. When you're truly embedded inside of your gift will fast track you. Your gift will put you in rooms that you never thought you would ever be in. And you know what I'm saying? And it can happen just like that.
Absolutely.
As they say, your gift will make room for you. Your
Yes.
gift will make room for you. But now that just because it made room for you doesn't mean that you have to say have the same expectations of someone else who's maybe not on a fast track to be there, right? Maybe their journey is a little bit different. Your goal is to understand that.
Isn't it about, I always think about, we're holding space. We are simply holding space.
We're
And
just simply holding space. That's it.
yeah, and
Be mindful.
we be mindful. I mean, I confessed, I'm corporation transformation guru,
Thank you.
whatever, right? And I have a zillion and 2 years doing it. You think you're old. And
We got to talk about this, Miss Tim.
right, right. And, and I remember a time, which I actually stumbled over writing about it. It was
Oh
amazing
yeah.
where the stories came from. I'm like, really? Oh, yeah, no, that goes there. And I remember that I had an amazing manager. really fabulous human. And he had two practices underneath him, and I was leading one, and the other one, the corporation decided, we're going to 86 this thing. But they had gone off site. We talk about the stages, and in
Hmm.
strategy meetings, they had gone through all the steps and told him this half of your function's going away.
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
then, like a week later, because I was fairly high up the food chain, one of his peers goes, "Why isn't X taking care of business?" And I remember looking at the guy going, "You guys spent 9 months between in closed rooms, bargaining, negotiating, assessing, and finally accepting, and you gave him the notice. And a
Yep.
week later, you want him to convey your decision that personally impacts an organization that he built, that he loves, and its people involved, and you have some flippin' timeline that you have the audacity to come and go, could you go talk to X and make sure he gets on with it?" I said, "How dare you?" And the guy was like backpedaling. And he
Yeah.
goes, "You always know how to speak your mind." I said, sometimes these compartmentalizing, and it happens to all of us, but your ability to say, "I did my homework, now you execute," it takes all the human out of it. So
It
holding
does.
space,
Oh my, I love that right there.
you
I
know,
love that
we
right there.
we have to hold space because everybody has a different process, and which we haven't talked about, and we won't go here because I'm not sure when we're supposed to end right now. I don't want to open
We're
another
gonna go a
call.
little bit past and
I
everything
know.
because I love it. I mean, like you said, we never the first time that see y'all have to understand the first time that me and Tamara talked, we talked forever, and we still didn't have enough time to talk about everything.
And
I
we
mean,
never
it
went.
was such
And
a
maybe
beautiful
Tony will have
conversation.
me back. All
Oh
right.
yeah, most definitely. Come on now.
But
Come on,
the bottom
yes.
the bottom line is that our job as practitioners is a judgment-free zone
Hmm.
where we hold the space. And for great talkers, which high performing people, at least I am, a really good talker, shut the F up
There you go.
and let them come
There you
to you.
go. Yeah. I look, I'm going to say the word, okay? I'm going to say it because of the simple fact of that right there is what makes you who you are as a practitioner in the grief field. If you can understand two things. One, when you enter to that space, it's not even about you. It's
Never,
not even about you. Okay.
never.
Second one, you just mentioned it. Shut the fuck up.
Mhm, mhm,
Because it's not about you, right? There's a time and a place for everything.
mhm.
And when you're with somebody in the beginning, you need to be quiet. You got two ears for a reason. Listen, because here's a really strong key to this thing that most people, if you're not paying attention, it'll go right across your head. People will often tell you what they need. If
Oh,
you
yeah.
know how to be quiet,
Yeah.
you have to allow them the space to tell you what they need because they're going to go about it in a whole different way. As a practitioner, it's your job to just listen.
Yeah.
And then you can pick up on those little small things. Then you can adjust yourself accordingly
I would
because it's
add
not about you.
I would add just a slight twist on that. I agree with everything you've said, and you're not surprised I have another twist.
Oh yeah,
Um,
most definitely. Look, this is what we do.
of course not.
We're
Um,
students of this thing, man.
I
Come on.
also, because we're all students of
Oh,
life,
she was
right?
saying, look, I'm gonna put this up here because somebody said, oh, she was saying too. Yes, I'm already knowing. I'm already so look, she's hiding herself because we're on live right now. But I don't know if you guys noticed, I had to put it out there, open up the door saying, girl, look, be yourself.
Yeah,
Right. This
yeah,
is what I've been trying to tell her since the beginning. And I was like, no, this is what we do. Right. And sometimes that language that we speak is not pretty. Who am I to tell you that you know what I'm saying, that the day is going to be a beautiful day? No, today may be a really fucked up day.
right. But the only other thing I would add to that is, yes, we have to shut the fuck up. But there is also,
There
because
you go.
we're all students, and many of us have never encountered
Yes.
this stage of our lives. So sometimes we don't know what we need. We couldn't possibly imagine what we
No.
need. And
Exactly.
so we have to shut up to hear that they don't know. And maybe, just maybe, we can offer a way through. Maybe we have an idea or something. I was walking down, thanks, Elena. I was
I love
walking
it.
I was walking down the street and a friend saw me in the middle of, typical day, drop the dogs off for the groomers. And I walk out and she's standing there because she'd seen me through the window. And not a word. She went and grabbed me into a hug. And you know how in that stage, my
I love
peanut
it.
gallery has a marvelous sense of humor. All right.
They stitching
But
on you. They telling on you.
they love me so much.
Yes,
Um,
I love this, man.
but the thing is that, so I walk out and she hugs me. Now, when we're in this place, when we are in grief, when life is happening, sometimes our hugs are pejorative because we're afraid if we stay too long, we are tipping over and we're never going to stand upright again. And
Exactly.
so this friend grabs me into a hug, and I did the performative just enough. And I started to pull out, and she goes, "Oh, hell to the no." And like, and
I can
grabs
see that.
me back and locks me in. And I completely fell apart in her arms. Now let's
Yes.
look at the whole discussion. Hell to the no was the only thing that was said the entire time. And then I finally could stand upright. And she said 4 words: "I love you most." That was it.
Hmm.
So I agree we need to shut the fuck up, but I also think that sometimes we have to be listening so well that we offer something that the other has no idea that they need.
Yes, yes. And okay, so and I'm glad that you put that in there because I didn't want to leave that part out. There's a time and a place for everything, right? You know what I'm saying? In the beginning, you just need to just listen. Please listen. Pay attention to the people that surround you, but and being able to pivot and adjust accordingly,
Yes.
right? You know what I'm saying? Realizing that what you went through and how you got to where you are is not going to work for that person over there. So you have to be very diverse in the things and the tools that you use, right? Because you know what I'm saying? The tools that I used in the beginning is not the tools that I use now. Do
Nope.
I go back to them because they still have relevance? Yes, I do, right?
Yeah.
And so you gotta have these tools are universal, even for us as practitioners. We still grievers. I just
Oh,
celebrated 10 years for my son,
yeah.
you know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing: I've learned to incorporate that likeliness of my family into everything that I do. I, I'm a student of this thing,
Yeah.
right? And I love everything about it, and will continue to love everything about it to the day that I die. I don't see myself doing anything different.
Right.
And even as a practitioner, I look at my fellow practitioners in this world, and I go, if we can pave the way for the next people that's coming behind us, we will set a bar to where it forces them to do better than us. But let's make sure that we put in the 250% out there as well. That's why I enjoy doing what I'm doing. I love the magazine that I started. I didn't think I was going to do any of this stuff, right?
No. And
And
I,
and, and
I
so
need to point out you also have an app out too. I'm like, where on
I,
earth? Where on earth?
I, so I was going to do a shameless plug with that too towards the end, but you know what I'm saying? Don't be taken away from your story, young lady. Okay, don't be taken away from your story. But yeah, I was gonna do a shameless plug at the end. You know what I'm saying
All
for
right.
people out there. But also I want to put this out there as well. I see a lot of great people out here. If you guys are looking for a place to be, with other practitioners like yourself. Come join us on the Global Grief Network.
Yep.
We're going to be the biggest network in the world where you can come collaborate, connect, and communicate with other people just like yourself. It's a family that was born out of just curiosity, and it's grew into something that I never even thought. You know what I'm saying? So one of my other founding members, Ada, she's out there, but we've been building this family of practitioners from around the world, and it's just a beautiful place to be. But there's also a lot of other things going on now. Before I give a shameless plug, I want you to give your shameless plug. Okay, I want you to give your plug. Okay, not shameless plug. We ain't gonna put shameless in there. There ain't no shame in this. Plug your stuff in, Miss Tamara,
All
please,
right.
because we got to wrap. We're gonna have to wrap it up. And yes, I would love to have a part two,
Okay. We're
or
going to do
however
it.
many parts that we need. That we're gonna
We're,
keep doing this. Okay, I
we're
love this.
Tony told me that he knows how to cook on a boat. So I already planned to invite myself to Colorado and get in on this deal. So we will get that figured out. All right. So first off, I have
I
a
got you.
manuscript.
I
I know
got
you
you.
do. I have a manuscript that is called The During, that is going through the process of becoming a book. And I think it's a tool for all of us, and I would be very excited. But more to the point, it gives me a voice to do major work that everyone needs. And so I am shamelessly plugging get
No, don't be
in
shamelessly
on.
plug it, girl.
Okay,
Don't be
I'm
ashamed.
plugging.
Yeah.
I love helping. I love this material. And so I am looking for speaking gigs, paid speaking gigs. You heard that the business was a little dipping to get me to here.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I invite you to reach out, to get a hold of me. I will go anywhere and do anything as long as you pay for transportation. And, because this is a topic that has been housed in shame and been too
Thank you.
small for too long. Every one of us has something that we're grieving.
Yes.
A child going to college, the loss of a job, a family member dying, a dream that has changed direction and you didn't expect it to happen.
Mm-hmm.
All of us experience grief. And what I believe Tony's here, and I love joining with him, is to give you the tools and find the people to help make it less alone.
There you go. And I love that because this is what I mean about us being heart centered, right? Because everything that we do, we have other people in mind. It's not even about us, it's about the people that we serve, right?
Right,
I'm a servant of the people, and I
right.
will always be a servant of the people. This is what I was blessed with. That's why it never bothers me to do the things that I do because I'm just curious enough to see if it happens. So here's my here's my plug for everybody. People, please, if you have not already, I know a lot of you already know Tamara, but if you don't know her, go check her out, please, man, because she's out here doing some amazing things. These conversations are just the tip of the iceberg to what we really going to be exploring later on down the line and things like that. But yeah, the Global Grief Network. Check us out on Facebook and LinkedIn, please. And as Tamara mentioned, I did develop an app, right? You know what I'm saying? So I developed the Global Grief Network app where this is a place where we help people looking for support connect with them a lot faster. So it's a hybrid app. AI is not a solution, it's just a bridge. And we have everything in there from over 33 chat rooms. There's practitioners can go live from within the app. There's so many other benefits. So globalgriefnetwork.com, go please check it out. You know what I'm saying? Download it, tell me what you think. Um, and it is membership based, but it's not expensive to be there. Members come in at $9 a month. Practitioners come in at $19 a month. You can go monthly or you can go annually, right? If you go annually, you get 2 months free. Okay, so keep that in mind if you ever go there. We're looking to build up that directory because we're changing the way people are connecting. Okay.
Right.
And I'm making sure that this app has everything in there. I'm in the process of creating the live a podcast area to where practitioners can upload your podcast in there to help people reach you that much faster.
Right.
I started. I'm the editor in chief, so I started Grief Talk magazine a few years ago and things like that. Where I love to showcase people. You'll see that I'm a servant of the people and and practitioners, things like that. I have a graphic novel called The Adventures of Grief Guide, which I'm turning next month. I'm premiering the movie for it as well. So I am in the process of doing all of that stuff. Follow us on your social medias, things like that. I would love to connect with you and connect you with other people, things like that. If you're a man looking for something, I work with over close to 30,000 men from around the world. And so, and we're still growing. we're,
Right.
we're still growing, and as long as we remain students in this thing, we'll be able to bring a lot more to you, a lot more innovative things. I love the creativity that comes up with this. With that being said, um, Tamara, we're gonna have to wrap this up. I wish we had more time and everything, but again, we're gonna be doing this again. People are already saying part two, part two. Yes, we will be doing a part two. As long as Tamara is good with it, we're going to make it happen for you guys. But yeah, come out and connect with us, right? We got a lot of other things coming up. We got the Global Grief Conference coming up next year, so we're going to be scheduling for that as well. It's a 3-day event that I put together back in 2021 during COVID, and we've done it every year.
Yep. Yep.
Yes,
And
yes, I recommend bringing Tam to our next retreat. She's in the family. She's in the family, which is she's already in the global grave, and I'm like, she already knows the invitation is universal. Come on, come on out. You know what I'm saying? Come on
yep.
out because we're going to be doing it. We're looking at trying to go to Fiji, things like that. So we got a lot of other things going on. We got a few countries like Ireland or continents and things like that, depending on. We got one coming up in Ghana. We got one coming up in Scotland. We got one coming up in Ireland. We got one coming up in Germany. We're still laying all of these things out. We got a lot of books coming out as well. We're thinking about doing a grief encyclopedia. So I'm trying to put all of that stuff together to where grief can have its own little encyclopedia about the different types of grief. And things like that from people who specialize in these different fields, right? And I'm like, there's nothing like this that's ever been done before, and so I want to keep bringing things out there because it is necessary. It's time that we change the way that we see grief. Grief is normal. It's going to be a part of your life, whether you like it or not. As long as you're living and breathing, you're going to experience some sort of grief. We just want to make sure that you have the tools to help you navigate it, okay? And with people that really care about how you navigate it as well. And so, Tamara, do me a favor, tell people how they can find you.
So yourenlightenedcoach.com is my website, which, by the way, you're going to sit there and go, where the hell is all this speaking stuff? We're in modification. And then Tam at yourenlightenedcoach.com is my email address. I got some other stuff for Tony. I am certainly on Facebook, easy peasy, just
Easy
Tamara
peasy.
Schmidt. You'll see a picture of me. I don't know what picture it is, probably something to do with the amphitheater on there. And I also want to point out, to wrap us up, Tony, the reason that Tony's work is residing, it's what he said up front. You don't have to do this alone.
Mhm.
We are the tentacles of the tribe that you may travel with.
Mhm. And the beautiful part about again is that I'm going to keep saying this because without the practitioners, the Global Grief Network wouldn't be what it is today. Their work that they do, no, we can't do this alone.
No,
And we have too many people that specialize in different types of grief and things like that. We got something for everyone. We don't have to turn nobody away. If you're a practitioner and you're looking for a place to belong, come with us, right? Because
right?
we're going, we're going, and we're bringing in more and more people. So come and enjoy. And if you're looking for support, what I'm saying, we can connect you with the right people. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? You don't have to settle for this over here or that over there. We can, if you let us know what you need, I have a network of people that I can connect you with. So you don't have to be able to walk this alone. And we have amazing people like Tamara that just joined the network and so many other amazing people out there that I would love to connect you with. Okay. Um, and so one other question for you, Miss Tamara. If
Yes.
Miss Tamara had a superpower, what would it be?
I, to be candid, I really like hugs, and I wish I was bewitched and I could twitch my nose and get to wherever, whenever. And think about how it would cut down on a commute. But,
I love it.
the ultimate superpower I'd like is to be able to be wherever I am needed in a heartbeat. And I need to remind everybody that might be a fictitious, but social media and texting and all, we can be as close as possible. It is possible to have somebody who is connected to your heart and soul that is only in a Zoom room or on YouTube. Today's technology gives us an element of the superpower I most want.
There you go. There you go. And again, I'm gonna plug it in. GlobalGriefNetwork.com is the app that's changing the way that we're connecting with people on a major level. So please go check it out. You guys have access to the magazine and all these different things, and more people that are coming in. It's going to help us be able to help people find the support that you need, right? Without, and take the guesswork out of it. It doesn't matter where you at in the world, what languages you speak. We've already bridged the language gap and all of those different things. And with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap this up, and hopefully I can get Miss Tamera back on here again to be able to come and do another show with us. I got a feeling that we got a lot more coming. Okay, we got a lot more coming. Yeah, just a little bit, right? You know what I'm saying? And yes, we're going to get her out here to Colorado, bring her out on the boat, because again, you know what I'm saying? I love cooking, I love fishing, I love hunting, all those different things, and I love being able to be of service to other people as well. And with that being said, if this is your first time tuning in, do me a favor, head on over to that YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button, hit that bell notification, so you'll be notified every time that we drop a new episode. And you guys for the ones that do know me, know that I'm dropping episodes. I drop a lot of episodes throughout the week and things like that, and I have a lot more coming and things like that. Go check out the TV channel, The Adventures of Grief Guy. We're on Roku, Apple TV, which this will be up there as well. And we just got a lot more coming. And Tamera, again, thank you for being on the show. This is such a breath of fresh air every time I have these conversations with people, because we bring so much to the table, and hopefully everybody who's been tuning in has taken some away from it. And hey, we're going to see you guys in the next one. Love you. Have an amazing day, and just remember that there's people out here who want to see you not have to struggle through this. Okay. And with that being said, guys, I won't see you guys tomorrow. Happy 4th. Be safe, and make sure you're checking up on your loved ones as well. Okay. You know what I'm saying? Because they need it just as much as you need it. They need it as well. All right. Tamera, I'll catch you after the show. Everyone else, I'll catch you in the next show. All right. Guys, have a blessed day, and be safe out there. Peace.
The conversation does not end here. Every story matters, every voice deserves to be heard, and every heart deserves a place to heal. This is Grief. Let's talk about it with Tony Lynch. Subscribe, share, and keep the conversation going.
We don't have to walk alone. Every voice still matters. Every heart can still come.